Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning for 1 Million Cups. I'm your MC, Trezzy. So we're going to do a couple of quick announcements, run around the room, and do some introductions. Looks like it's mostly regulars here today, but there'll be a few new folks, and then we'll kick it over for our presentation. First off, quick thank you to our sponsors, Dream Bank and Starting Block, for their continued support. So we're going to go around and do those introductions. Just give us your name, a little bit about what you do, and we'll move on to the next person. Again, my name is Trezzy. I'm the MC and one of the co-organizers here from 1 Million Cups. I'm also a software engineering consultant, and as of last week, I need to announce I am a live streamer.
Oh, that's right, that's right. Trezzy Codes on Twitch.
Yeah, is that what it is? What is that what it is?
It's twitch.tv/TrezzyCodes. I've actually been doing it for a year, but I realized nobody knew.
Except me.
Except DP.
Nice. Well, everyone has to join us.
Yeah, everybody's got to come follow. Yeah, follow, subscribe. I don't know, whatever they do at the end of YouTube videos.
My name is Joey Frayne, also a co-organizer of 1 Million Cups, as well as I'm a technology investment manager at the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. What that means is I work with early stage companies, generally technology-based companies looking to raise capital from investors.
Kurt Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions, a platform for hosting and managing silent auction fundraisers.
Hi, Steve Scully, CEO and founder of Thaddeus based out of Rochester, Minnesota, and look forward to talking to you guys today.
I'm Keith Fullen, founder of All About EX. It's a service that helps startups handle all things people.
I'm Eric Kirsten. I work for BB7. It's a local product design and development firm. I'm the director of device development for our medical products.
Steve Claude, co-founder of the aforementioned 32 Auctions, platform for hosting and managing fun, easy, successful silent auctions. And also, I have checked in today.
Ooh.
I've been shamed. Dennis Barnum, Merlin Mentors.
Nate Shields, co-founder of School Dispatch. We help school districts automate the absence reporting process.
Derek Kevler, Field 59, and co-organizer here at 1 Million Cups.
Matt Noack, I'm IoT hardware and software consultant.
Michael Botts, Peterson Technology. We help small and medium businesses help eliminate the headaches of IT frustrations.
Use that. I am wellness, e-commerce, and multifamily investments in real estate. My name is Mike Nichols.
John Hell, Mascase Fire and Rescue Products.
Robin Kitson, I'm with Drifters Chocolates. It's artisan-made fine chocolates, bonbons, truffles.
I'm DP Knutson of Collaborative Creative, and surprise, surprise, I'm a creative collaborator for people to help discover, craft, and communicate their true nonfiction branding stories via the most effective and efficient channels possible.
And I'm Mark. I am the community manager at Starting Block, and I actually have a quick announcement because Trezzy, 2 people came our way thanks to you, which reminded me that we have a really connected community here. Next Tuesday, we will be having a Startup Financing 101 event where we have Joel Martin from HealthX Ventures coming to talk about his take on VC funding right now in the startup world. If you're interested, you can find the event on our website. Thanks, Trezzy, for the tee up.
You're welcome. So Steve mentioned he's checked in. I am not, but I'm trying. If you haven't already, grab the 1 Million Cups app and go check in. Let us know you're here. Thank you, Steve, for the reminder. With that, let's get over to our presenter. Let's hear it for Thaddeus.
Thanks everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. Never been to downtown Madison before. I love the Capitol building. It's beautiful, beautiful piece of architecture. So without further ado, Steve Scully, CEO founder of Thaddeus Med, who made connected hardware for temperature control and tracking of temperature sensitive medical products. And basically I started the company, whoops, come on down. Started the company when I was finishing up at Mayo Clinic as a research fellow and saw the need for better temperature control and tracking for clinical specimens that were coming from the bedside down to the core lab. In most cases, there's no issue. They control the temperature and they monitor it very well. But every once in a while, they get one that gets down to the lab. It's the wrong temperature. They don't know how long it's been that way. They need to go back and redraw the patient. It's a huge inconvenience. That's the best situation. The worst situation is in other settings, other hospital settings perhaps. They don't follow that protocol as stringently, and they may get a specimen that is supposed to be temperature controlled, and they run the sample anyway. In that scenario, it would basically be like a garbage in, garbage out, where you get a bad specimen, you get bad data, you then act on that kind of false positive or false negative. So because of that issue, started the company to try to address the medical errors. In addition, other applications have presented themselves for precision medicine. They're spending millions to billions of dollars on these novel, cutting-edge therapies that are very precise for different applications, for different conditions. And with the aging population, with more home delivery, it's inevitable that these things are going to be shipped to the home. And if they're not at the right temperature, a lot of them will spoil, and we'll end up delaying therapy and the treatment of patients. So we need better solutions. In addition, as I mentioned, the pre-analytical issue, before the specimen even gets run on an instrument, it's a big problem in clinical pathology. Seasonal pseudo-hyperkalemia, so in cold weather, or in hot weather, depending on the weather outside, you can get false elevation of the potassium, and so that could be a critical event that you could potentially miss if you're not tracking the temperature correct for your specimens. I'm going through a lot of different problems here to kind of give you the awareness of how big the problem actually is. So also, we've got vaccine storage being an issue for hospital systems, and as I mentioned, the storage of biological therapies. Globally, it's a $35 billion problem for the transportation storage of medical therapies. A lot of it wasted on the lost revenue that could have been achieved if those samples those therapies got to the patient's doorstep. And then a lot of root cause analysis and replacement cost. So what we're doing is we're coming to market with a piece of hardware that is it's essentially a refrigerator in a suitcase that's connected to the internet. So we've got a device that can control temperature very well with a very tight range, track it in real time, provide real-time alerts and location awareness, any kind of parameters that you want to be aware of, humidity, pressure, barometric pressure, geolocation, any kind of way you want to push that data. So if you want to put it in the medical record, if you want to put it in a logistics management system, we're able to do that. Part of the value proposition is that it's a very durable and reliable system. So we're able to offer a 2-year extendable warranty. Right now we've got 2 units that are at the demo phase, a 4-liter, a 10-liter unit for the payload. Those weights are about 30 and 40 pounds respectively. Right now we're focusing mostly on a 4-degree set point for refrigerated temperatures. That's the most common application for a lot of the customers. Depending on the environmental conditions outside, we can get up to 72 hours of battery life. It can be recharged anywhere along the way with just a traditional extension cord. And so the bigger unit is about the size of a large suitcase, the smaller unit is about the size of a carry-on. That's just a screenshot of the CAD, just to kind of give you a sense of what happens when you open it up. The software right now is live and real-time tracking for location, authorized users, again, temperature, pressure, humidity, light, shock, vibration, and battery status. Those are all configurable depending on where you want to set the parameters to get an alert, and also geofencing. That's just another screenshot. So who's out there now? Who's in competition? We've got competition for small parcels that are traditional, expanded polystyrene or styrofoam and phase change materials. like Cryopack, Cryoport, Pelican, Uline. They all do the traditional styrofoam and phase change materials. You've also got active systems that are battery powered, but they're the size of a pallet or multiple pallets. Envirotan, Sonic, Thermosafe, and C-Safe. And then you've got solutions that are doing real-time tracking only, but no one's doing all of this in one solution. So that's kind of our part of our value proposition. Our three closest competitors, if you look at C-Safe on the far right, very reusable, very durable, but it's a military-grade active cooler, so it's about 200 pounds, so it's not practical for a lot of purposes that we're going after with small pharmacies, hospital systems, and ultimately to the retail supply chain. The other competitors aren't durable or lightweight, and no one provides real-time alerts as well. So with our launch into the marketplace later this year, we're launching betas into this month and then launching fully next quarter. We've got a lot of patents that have been submitted. Some have been converted to pending status. 2 have been allowed for the cooler, components of the cooler, and other products kind of to work in conjunction with the cooler. Our revenue model initially was to sell it and get recurring revenue for data, but as we kind of launch into with the first customers, we'll be doing that certainly, but as we get into the retail supply chain with UPS and FedEx, we'll be leasing it to them or doing a percentage of the per use revenue. So right now the management team is made up of myself, an amazing engineer, Russ Sanders, who worked at Thermo King where they make all the refrigerated trucks. I was very lucky to find him. He brings a lot of great subject matter expertise to the team. Chris Lehman is our VP of Finance. We've got a huge board of advisors that kind of spans all my gaps and the management team's gaps for logistics, startups, healthcare, regulatory, FDA, engineering, pathology, you name it, pretty much you've got it. It's taken a long time to get to this point. I started in 2015 and thought it would be done in a couple of years and acquired at this point, but so it goes with the startup world. It's taken a while to get the right team, and it's taken a while to get the market product fit. As you can imagine, the market is enormous. Global cold chain for pharmaceuticals right now is about $38 billion. It's going to triple in about 6 years, with all the biologics becoming much more mainstream. The serviceable addressable market for us is US and Canada in the next 5 years, and the target market is about $3.6 billion. We're going to roll out the cooler this year, next quarter. Other things that we can get revenue from is the gyroid foam, which is a very cool 3D printed foam that absorbs a lot of vibration and shock on the electronics and allows for heat to transfer through very easily. And then the Smart Sleeve in 2022, we're submitted an NSF STTR grant with the University of Minnesota to get that up and running. Markets right now initially are pharmacies and hospital systems, and then next year, or even later this year, FedEx and UPS retail supply chain, thousands of units in circulation by the end of the year, hopefully. And technology, some of the cool technology we're using will be machine learning to prevent anticipating failures that might happen beforehand, so predictive analytics, and blockchain for distributed ledger for diverse types of data that would be pushed to the medical record. Our financials, our projections mostly at this point has us in about, this year hopefully getting over $2 million in revenue, and then scaling up rapidly with 20,000 units in 2023. With that, I'm going to conclude. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll take any questions. Thank you. Yeah.
So, question I have is based on the picture of the device.
Yep.
What is the stackability of that device? It looks like it just slide around all over the place if you have multiple units.
We have a plan for that.
Okay.
Not fully implemented yet, but right now our customers are only using a few. It's in their car, it's in their van. There's no need for stackability, but we'll get there.
Okay. And then returning of the devices, because I'm assuming they're going to people's homes. So.
Yep, so our initial customers are kind of dedicated with to that one unit. They buy it, they own it, they are not really doing the reverse logistics. They're either utilizing a courier that has a vested interest in that unit. They do their routes, they plug it back in at the end of the day, at the end of the route, and use it again the next day. But as we get to the retail supply chain, then that becomes certainly an issue, and so we're working with UPS to figure that out. Thanks. Yep.
How are you selling the product? What's your marketing and sales strategy?
So really just cold leads, like Dun Bradstreet Hoovers, just getting as many hospital systems, pharmacies I can find, and reaching out to them, getting connected, and working that relationship.
So you're just making the calls right now? Okay.
So I guess a couple of questions. One, I guess how have you funded this to date? So I guess kind of you said you've been doing it since what, 2014, 2015, so kind of what's the road been there?
Yeah.
Then I'm just curious, I guess, from an organizer here and also for working for the state's economic development organization, kind of what your interest coming to Madison is, kind of what you're looking for around this trip, so.
Yeah, sure, thank you. So we've raised over $830,000 to this point, mostly from private angels, family friends.
Okay.
And interested in coming to Madison. I also went to Green Bay and to Appleton. I just love, I love presenting.
Okay.
Just be good practice and talking to some folks at BP7 as well here in Madison.
Are you fundraising right now?
Oh yeah, so we are fundraising right now. We're doing 2 tranches of $500K at different valuations. So as we get into the beta, to kind of complete that phase, and then as we market launch for that phase.
Cool. Thank you.
Before we get too much deeper into the questions, one thing we usually like to ask our 1 million cups is what can the community do for UPS for community assets? So what can we do to help you out here?
Thank you. So if anyone is aware of any local pharmacies or hospital systems, if you guys work for those types of companies, if you see a need for this type of product, I would be very grateful if you could make that introduction with me. I got some contact information I can give to you, some flyers on the cooler, so I'm happy to distribute that to you guys and get some potential leads there. Thank you.
See?
So you said it's taken a number of years to find market fit. What has that process been for you? How do you know that you found market fit?
Yep, so we have revenue and we got a lot of interested customers right now based on the product that we have. It's taken a while to get the right people on board. Initially we were doing a different type of technology, not a compression refrigeration system, but a Peltier based system, because it was lightweight, it was cheaper, it was easier to implement. But it's not, and that still might be a viable technology for some applications, but for most applications, it's better for us to use the compression refrigeration.
And about how many people have you been working with to get you to that point where you feel like you have the right product?
In terms of customers or team?
Yeah, customers. People using it that are
it's never, I mean, you know, ultimately the validation will be that when we get that couple million in revenue, but right now we've got about a handful of customers that are really excited what we're doing. Some of them are very big players, so that's good for me.
Steve, have you considered using aerogels at all in part of your future plans for installation?
So when you say aerogel, is that a phase change material or is it something?
It's like
is that the one from NASA?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it might be one of the good product fits because it's expensive to produce, but its insulated capacity is absurd.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that actually.
Especially if you're trying to get weight down eventually. Yeah, it was cool to see you're using the lattice and then the sleeve as kind of future technologies to integrate as you're trying to get the size down, get the weight down.
Yep. Thanks.
So as a software engineer, I always get a little giddy and also skeptical when I see blockchain in one of these presentations.
I know.
So
we're not
tell me a little bit about what's...
No crypto. That's all I want to say.
Okay. So no ICOs for Thaddeus.
No ICOs. But yeah, as far as the software, we're integrating a few APIs. We're getting it under our roof in terms of our website, and but it is up and running in terms of being available to customers, but it's separate silos, if that makes sense.
And what's it doing? I guess from like your presentation, I had trouble making that connection between blockchain and.
Well, so blockchain is kind of a future thing that we can do. It's nothing that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So.
Are you guys manufacturing? Are you guys outsourcing? What's the plan of that?
Yep. So we're doing. We have some contract manufacturers up in Minneapolis that we're working with. Always looking for more opportunities with other contract manufacturers. But most of the assembly, almost all the assembly is being done in Minnesota right now.
What does growth look like? You got a team of 3 is what I saw.
Yeah, I'd love to grow the team more for sure. We're just kind of capital constrained at the moment, so a lot of sweat equity, contracts and 1099s, and love to grow the team to be 5 to 10 people by the end of the year. Is that what you mean by growth?
It is, yeah. I mean, you mentioned 8 years worth of fundraising.
Yep.
The amounts we're invested. What is that?
Oh, so we'll be able to complete the beta pilots with a number of customers, probably about 3 to 5 pilots into the second quarter, and then launch kind of fully with hundreds of units, hopefully thousands by the end of the year.
Another question for you, Steve. So who are your primary customers right now, and what is the primary win theme for why they went with you to utilize your system?
Sure. So primary customers are hospital systems that see the benefit of having a system like this to prevent any pre-analytical errors. Also, small pharmacies that are sending temperature-sensitive biologics or controlled substances to the patient's home for the delivery process. So temperature control, awareness of the temperature history, the location at all times, as well as kind of chain of custody and security. So there's no other solution that kind of gets all of it in one.
Right. So large hospital systems that have integrated pharmacies and.
Yeah, for that'd be a huge.
It's all within one system.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. What are some of the bigger hospitals out here? Gunderson or UW?
Yeah. Any more questions? If not, go ahead and call it. All right, let's hear it one more time for Steve. Steve, are you going to be hanging out for a little bit after the presentation? So if anybody wants to say hey or grab a business card, come on up. One more time, thank you for joining us for 1 Million Cups this morning. If you have not already, go grab the 1 Million Cups app. Make sure to check in. Quick thanks to our sponsors, Dream Bank for the space, and Starting Block for their continued support. Everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday.